Hello, what is up there? This is Nick, and I'm here to live rich with you. Anyways, today I'm going to discuss a passage out of the Tao Te Ching. I know it's spelled with a T, but it's actually pronounced with a D. For some reason, I'm not quite sure why. Anyways, this book, the Tao Te Ching, has been with me for a long, long time. Throughout my travels, throughout my past 10 years about. And I've looked at different translations of it. The literal translation of the title means the way I actually forgot what it means. That's not important, although it probably is in some context. We're going to skip over that. And we're going to go into this book, and further along in different episodes of the Tao Te Ching readings, I will give you a little more accurate information. Pretty sure it's the book of integrity and the way, it says on here. But what I like to do with this book is it's a very deep, profound passage book, and the passages themselves have so much depth to them that I like to open it up at a random spot, read the passage, and let it sink in. And so that's what we're going to do here together. So, without further ado, we're going to get into it. So this is chapter 35. And here's how it reads. My words are very easy to understand, very easy to practice, but no one is able to understand them, and no one is able to practice them. Words have authority, affairs have ancestry. It is simply because of their ignorance that they do not understand me. Those who understand me are few, thus I am ennobled. For this reason, the sage wears coarse clothing over his shoulders, but carries jade within his bosom. So, very simple and straightforward. Now let's break it down into a few manageable pieces and do some thinking about it. The first paragraph. My words are very easy to understand, very easy to practice, but no one is able to understand them, and no one is able to practice them. So, what this means to me, and mind you, these meanings, they change for me over time. But right now, what this is speaking to me as is my words are very easy to understand. The words are simple. They're very easy to practice. The right thing to do is simple and very easy to do, but no one is able to understand them, and no one is able to practice them. So it's almost like I want to say they have an essence to them that is hard to grasp, that is like the base foundation of understanding, and that they point to, and thus they cannot be understood or practiced, but they are very easy to understand and very easy to practice. They're like the shape of the cookie cutter. The words are the shape of the cookie cutter, and then it's almost like our actions are the cookies themselves. And this is kind of how I understand this phrase at the moment. And this is why I like this book, because you read it and you get different understandings. Second paragraph, my words have authority, affairs have ancestry. Words have authority means, like, at least on the very surface of it, words have like a command, a power to them, a governing force. And affairs have an ancestry, is that everything we do comes from a reason prior that we're doing them for. And this can go on and on and on. If you look at it, like to the traditions that we have, they all came about for a reason. Like for example, in Judaism, for not eating pork, it was because the warm temperatures where the Jewish people came from, and this is, I could be wrong on this, but the base underlying idea is the same, is that the reason why they don't eat pork was because it was unclean and they weren't able to sanitize it in that the temperatures where they lived. Also, where they circumcised themselves, the sand from the deserts would get into their foreskin, and that's why they circumcised themselves, to be clean. Next paragraph. It is simply because of their ignorance that they do not understand me. Those who understand me are few, thus I am ennobled. So, just because someone doesn't understand something, they may see someone to be ignorant who's doing something differently. And this can happen a lot. Or also, conversely, they can be rose up and ennobled or put above the crowd because they understand something, whether it's technical, whether it's deep spiritual, that others do not understand, and they can have value and put in practicality for the rest of the people. And then the final chapter. For this reason, the sage wears coarse clothing over his shoulders, but carries jade within his bosom. This one is very self-explanatory, although I'll go into it. The sage, when they speak of sage, is like this, not a higher being, but just someone who's like self-realized and self-actualized, and he wears clothing that maybe is not the most fashionable, because that's not his focus, but he carries value and within his heart, within his mind, within himself, and this is where his value comes from. So, hope that chapter of the Tao Te Ching got you thinking about something cool. This is the kind of stuff that I like to think about, and I'm going to be having more videos on the Tao Te Ching, one of my favorite books ever. And yeah, thank you for watching. Again, this is Nick, signing out. May you live a very rich life.